Welcome to Deconversion Therapy, the podcast. This is Bonnie coming down from technologically challenged Florida. And up there in Tennessee.
Yeah, we'll tell you about it in a bit. It's Karen who thought that the technical part was my fault since it always is every other week. But nope, it's Bonnie's today. It's actually environmental
Our entire
changes.
electric just went out.
Global warming. Yes, we lost everything. And let me tell you, it was an episode that was probably going to win a Webby. I don't know.
Gold.
It's gone now. Gold, Jerry.
Gold. So now we have the privilege of Command S frequently.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because do you have storms down there, or what's happening?
Not this minute. We just have electrical problems. Anyway.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yep. Well, here we are. And there's so much to say, so much to do. It's a song.
So much.
Oh, okay. So let me remember what we said last time. And one of the main things is, guess what? We're not therapists, if you didn't know this. We're going to put, let's just do a disclaimer like people do, saying, if you need professional help, please call this and that. Because a lot of people going through deconstruction might be going through trauma, and we're not the place.
So Google this and that and give them a call, and they'll be
That's
helpful.
right. We're so good at this.
We wanted to do a podcast, and Karen thought, oh, how fun. We'll call it Deconversion Therapy, which is a play on conversion therapy, which is the shithole that parents send their children to when they want to turn them into whatever cisgender version of Jesus-ified perfection they think is appropriate.
Correct.
So,
it's like flicking the middle finger at that and going, ha.
Yeah.
But we're not therapists. I mean,
it's like
we could be. You could pay us.
It's like you say retail therapy. Ha 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 is usually the result of that, because everybody knows that you shouldn't buy things to make you happy.
What?
So anyway.
Shit.
What?
That's another episode right there, I'll tell you, because it's Christmas time, and, that's all we hear is buy stuff.
That is a hole you cannot fill by buying things.
But I'm going to try. Damn it. No. Yeah, that's who we are, and rating and reviewing us is always appreciated. It helps
the podcast get found.
Okay. Did I tell you? All right. So Bonnie and I, we have a lot of balls in the air. We have a lot of knives on the cutting board, a lot of metaphors for, there's a lot going on to do a podcast, as you know, and to do it for 5 years without help, things get dropped. So I was talking to a podcast manager recently. We're going to interview some and see what can be done and if we can get a little help. And they were like, I looked you up on Listen Notes. Supposedly that's where you go. And we are in the 0.5% top popular podcast globally, which fucking insane.
It is, but doesn't it lead you to think, does no one else outside the U.S. do podcasts?
There are, I think, 3.6 million podcasts that it's out of. I'm like,
wow.
Why our listeners are so appreciated? I don't know why your lives are so sad that you would be like, I'm going to spend time listening to these ladies. But we appreciate it.
Yeah, so just for a minute of complete, genuine appreciation, thank you.
Because oh my God.
It's really a phenomenal feeling that people
it really is.
resonate to all of this. And that we're not alone, and it's a shared thing, and we have a nice community.
And people who are not religious and never were can listen and go, oh my God, that's what's going on in the country of the U.S. and other places. That's entertaining story you told about some cult here or there. Like, we want to be comedy that our focus that we talk about is all the charlatans and cons and cults, but that they are just people who listen is insane. And
Well, I would hope
again,
that people
appreciate.
could listen to some of the things that go on all in the name of religion and go, "Oh my gosh, I'm so glad I'm not a part of that. Isn't our life nice? We're not a part
Exactly.
of that craziness, that chaos, that it's kind of brainwashing
I would say.
kind of behavior." Yeah, I know. I
Scandal
hesitate to
after
say
scandal. No,
that.
you're
A
right.
lot of scandals, cults. And what did you call it? A benevolent cult before?
Oh, I'll tell you. Yeah, we've already recorded this episode, so we know exactly what we're referring to. But I'll get into that for sure. But you were talking about the cult
Yeah.
show you just watched on Max.
Oh, you watched it. I watched one episode or
Oh, okay.
part of one, and it's called like Mother God, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's people who are very much like the hippie generation. And I was telling Karen, I could never be a member of this cult. Their living environment was just packed with garbage. There's just shit around everywhere. Like, how can you think straight? Of course you're in a cult if you can live with all of this household
Chaos.
chaos and crap everywhere. Nothing's put up, nothing's organized. They probably don't wash dishes after each use. I don't know.
What we're going to do when we do our cult, like once you
Right.
include incense and tapestries in the decor, it is a totally different vibe than what I will
Yeah.
be pursuing in life. I'm
Tapestry's the gateway item to Cultville.
right. Mine and yours together will be all about opulence, but also like neatness, because the spirit can't come through unless the tables are clean. How's that?
Right.
That would be the
Yeah.
first tenet. But yeah, it's a wild ride. I definitely recommend that. There are quite a few different religious things coming out, even about fundamentalists again. A new one is Let Us Pray, and that's come out, and I haven't even watched that. But I think I'm glad all this stuff is being revealed so that people can be like, oh, that we need to stay away from, or that we need to.
I feel like it's a
Alert,
pinball machine, and like they're just people are balls rolling along, like bouncing off these big bumpers. Like, oh no, don't want to go near Hillsong. Sean Foyt, boing, 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 and the only place you have to go is just back down through the little nice solid line of the interior of the pinball machine.
That would be, I like at
There's
least
too
that
much-
is organized.
too much-
Yeah, like all of it is fun and for you and I to do. So I just talked to a journalist the other day, and they were like, why did you start this? What are you doing? You like all the stuff. And of course, the way my brain is, I didn't even know till I said things. And part of the things I said is like,
What?
my best friend from childhood, we've known each other or introduced to each other when we were in strollers when we were about 1, and it was more
Maybe
just
you couldn't
and
walk.
I
could walk.
I was bilingual and you were drooling. But we were like, this is going to be good for our friendship. We get to talk every week. And you were like, let's talk about the stupid stuff we did back when. And we had no idea of anything. I mean, we've seen so many changes in the 5 years we've been doing this, like how evangelicalism has it's blown the roof off of everything. It was nothing. It was nothing 5 years ago. It wasn't talked about.
Right. There are
but we
people now,
also-
and it pisses Karen off, who are emerging as the leaders of the
Oh, don't get me started.
deconstruction movement. And so it's human nature. You get away from one organization and you're like, oh my God, I'm out here alone. I better go migrate and like adhere to another organization. So, which we don't want to be.
Yeah. And men who jump in the space get 3 times as many followers instantly because we're so used to just anything, especially straight white men say, sounds more authoritative.
Well, I think it's because I don't think what they say is more authoritative necessarily, but I think they crave power.
Right. No, we give them authority because it's ingrained in us to be like, oh, the man is speaking. And he said the same thing as that 26-year-old woman, but we look at him and we say, oh, yeah, that is truth. That's truth, man. Yeah, it's interesting to see. And that we had no idea about analytics. We still don't. We don't cater to likes and all that. And we definitely don't want a hierarchy. We don't want people coming from one stage to get on another stage in evangelicalism. Like, take some years. It's not, don't deconstruct by committee. Just, that's what I'm saying. I am telling you what to do. And what I'm telling you to do is not listen to people who tell you what to do. Oh, no. Why
I see us as just,
why don't make sense?
I see us as just a way in to viewing all the different shit shows that various religions offer you. And guess what? When we first started, I remember saying to Karen, I don't know what we're going to talk about each week. I'm like, we're going to lose things to talk about. There aren't going to be any options pretty soon. And then guess what? People just keep not disappointing us in the wrong way. They keep coming out and doing stuff and fucking around with pool boys at the Fontainebleau Hotel down in Miami and getting fired from their big university job. Well, anyway,
let's just go back for 10 seconds of peace back to those days when we were innocent of all these things. Yeah. Because I barely know. Every week when I'm going to plan something, I'm like, well, we could do this. This got some trauma in it. This one has, there's so fucking much that it's hard to pick. But we don't want to be your trauma stop. We want to be your, man, I want to listen to some ding-dongs talk about shit that I might learn something, but probably not. That's what we want to be.
Yeah. Come to us and we'll show you what to steer clear of.
There you go.
In case, just like me, I went to the beach to go on a morning walk on Thanksgiving morning. And sure enough, there are 2 people standing there dressed conservatively, one woman in a dress and a man, just kind of nice, what have you.
Right.
And of course, they're passing out tracts. And I saw something that said JW, and I'm like, oh, I know what that is, Jehovah's Witness. So, it's all still out there. And then I had a guy the other day, I think I texted Karen saying, oh my gosh, some guy just yelled at me that time is ticking and we've all got to repent. I'm like, okay. So I don't know where you guys live, but it's all over here. People are still out there.
I'm in the Bible Belt. I'm in the buckle. I'm where the movers and shakers of the Christian world are, where Trump prophets live, a couple streets down. It's just, all the time here, which is I almost think it's better because I'm just used to it and I'm not like, oh, fuck, what's that? And a lot of people assume everyone's Christian. So there's not as many like, oh, we got to go out and witness to the heathens because they are blindly believing everyone is Christian. So maybe that works in my favor. I don't know.
And then I have the opposite. When I moved back down to Florida, I was living on the Upper West Side of New York, and I thought that that was just a nice average sampling of the country. And I was in a different bubble altogether.
Yeah, yeah.
Of
Everything's a
just,
bubble.
yeah. But people were just nice up there. They're not nice down here. No, that's not true. There's some nice people. Let me just throw in there because it's important. Did we ask you to rate us and review? Yeah, maybe we did. You can also find us, and by us I mean Karen, on TikTok, doing a lot of videos. And sometimes she'll do the live ones, which is exciting. And I remember a couple years ago when you weren't doing that, and that was something you were kind of, on edge about doing. And now I think it's like second nature to just get on.
It takes a lot of
do
energy.
Sure.
I'm sorry, but even my mutuals who do this, you're just sitting back looking at some questions. I have 400 people pelting things at me, and I'm flinging my arms, and I'm like, I need to learn how to do it more casually, because afterwards I tell my husband, like, I gotta lay down. That's sad. That's sad.
I love that. I gotta lay down. So the other place where you can find a good presence is our Facebook group. That's a lovely community of people with no leader, just everybody just commiserating a little bit and comparing stories about going
Lord
home
of
for
the Flies. Yeah. No,
going home for the hell of holidays is often a popular subject in there. And then Instagram. So those are the main ones. Instagram has a lot of funny memes, and people are generally more kind, I think, on Instagram than they used to be on Twitter, for sure.
They really... A lot of people who follow us on there, when you post a meme, they're like, well, let me tell you the history behind blah, blah, blah. And then they start arguing. And I've decided I don't have time. I'm going to let them do that. If anything comes up that I think is offensive, I'll delete the comment. But, it's just people like to argue.
Yes, they do. They're turds, and I mentioned this before, but I'm going to do it again. I've got to insert my Robbie Williams reference here. He has a Netflix special out. He is a pop star over in England and all around the world, but not so much in the U.S. So
but in your heart.
But in my heart, he's the pop king. He has a Netflix special where they show him his early part of his career, and he watches it and just gets mopey and sad, and you're watching him go through as like a 19-year-old, 21-year-old, somebody who's just raked over the coals in the press. And it makes me realize, before we were reading shitty social media comments, people were reading the fucking press about themselves. And it's just a reminder to me, like, if you cannot read the comments, just don't read them. Those people are awful.
I know.
Anyway.
And luckily it's not about us. And if it is, I give a zinger back. Like, this is a meme page, not a college textbook. Like, fuck off. But I don't say fuck off anymore. I'm a good girl.
Anymore. Anymore.
Right.
Okay.
Well, after I just talked about, like, don't spend money and don't do this, probably, we have merch out. That's right. Only focus on us and our cult. We have winter merch out. They're all new designs. They will caress your body lovingly. What?
And snarkily. I'm panicked because Karen was like, we're going to just do this for a limited run. It's a limited December holiday edition. And I'm panicked because I just imagine people are going to miss out.
I know. And guess who it's going to be? It's going to be the person listening right now. No. Yeah, it's till December 10th because that'll be received by Christmas. And that way you can wear the Hoping for the Rapture Daily shirt to your, gathering. And the Christians will be like, oh, that's sweet. Me too. But you mean that you want them gone.
Just the mean ones.
Yeah, exactly. And we've got, the usual, hope your Christmas is white, but Jesus isn't, or things like that. I mean, roll over laughing. There are totes, bags. There are different colors of things, and it supports the pod. We appreciate it. We also have if you would like to sponsor us, it's only $5 a month, and we really appreciate that. We appreciate love offerings through Venmo. It's special to us and crazy that people appreciate us.
Yeah, and people have told
Yeah.
us stories about where they've worn the shirts before. And I often think that it's a fun social experiment to see if anybody pays attention to what shirt you wear.
Very true. And
Yeah,
all of them
'cause-
have these like subtle things where you think you're about to read something else. And I love that. I love just the old twist of the knife. But yeah, that's all our stuff I was going to say. And I was also going to say that I just put someone on our Instagram. We're trying to do Songs Sunday every once in a while when I remember and catch up. And this new one, her name is Brittany Moore, and she's out of Nashville. And she's this young, adorable sort of country singer, but the country that has the sound of the Dixie Chick voice. Like, it's
cool.
palatable and enjoyable. And she does one called Church Ladies. And the lyrics are like, thank God, by the grace of God, I'm not like them. Like how judgy people in church are and how much she got judged and all that. And
I enjoy
love
that you said it was palatable, and because there's really no better compliment to somebody than saying that they're palatable.
Whoops. I'm sorry, Brittany. I meant to say you're amazing. And she actually is. She played at the Bluebird. I sent her a message saying, I come down and visit, and I will give you the foods and the care. But yeah, so we're doing that type of stuff. You guys mostly know everything that we do.
No, they
and
don't.
we say. All right. No. Well.
All right.
Okay.
Well, but thanks. And so, should we talk about what we're going to talk about today?
No. All right. So
Okay,
now let's ruin everybody's day by talking about the 7 mountain mandates. Again, this is something that people didn't realize has been behind the scenes and now in the forefront for decades. And Mike Johnson is part of it. Bonnie, tell the foreigners and the people who don't watch the news here who Mike Johnson is.
So he is the Speaker of the House. After blowing through a couple of other options, we landed on Mike Johnson to be the person who, if Biden goes away and Kamala Harris goes away, is our president. He is, there's a lot of video that you can find of him talking about spirituality and evangelicalism and his church. And he seems more like a church leader than a politician who is charged with representing us as a country. But that's part of what this whole 7 Mountains mandate thing is all about.
Yeah, like people who believe in 7 Mountains, they're cheering because this is a huge win to have someone who's like, oh, you want to know my politics? Just read the Bible. That's my politics.
Yeah, he said that.
I know.
He's like, if you want to see if you want to know my playbook, open up the Bible. Well, wow,
How is that not, anywho, and I can't. Okay, so 7 Mountains mandate is a way for Christians to rule everything. There is a man named Loren Cunningham who most recently died. I met him in the same year he came up with this, I just realized.
Wow.
And I'm sorry, he didn't come up with it. He was given a vision or a dream.
He and 2 other people who I can't remember right now.
Well, he handed it on and
Wikipedia.
told them about it.
Oh, did he?
Right. Yeah, he was the original dream maker. So maybe he had it. It said it started in 1975, actually. So it was a message from God to Loren Cunningham, who is the head of Youth with a Mission. And then
Which is also called YWAM, right?
there you go, that I was in, and my husband and I met through that. But I call him like a benevolent cult leader because YWAM has very cultic practices. But he was sort of this very earnest and caring person who absolutely believed everything he said, and he wasn't malicious trying to hurt people or anything like that. I'm sure there are bad parts to him, but nothing was ever, he never had like a big scandal.
No, and when you say earnest, I think that you've hit upon something that a lot of these cult leaders have in common. There's not a lot of room for sarcasm. There's just no evidence of sarcasm in a lot of these leaders. They're so consumed with what their philosophy is that there's no air in there. It's just all their ideas.
And there's a lot of them who were, especially men, who are like, I'm going to do this because I need the power and I need to be over people. And I really feel Lauren Cunningham wasn't. I feel he felt he was doing a good servanthood thing for God. And I could be incorrect, but through meeting him and listening to him in person and all these things, I think he's just of a generation also that God was much more tangible to them and all this stuff. But I
think also, though, there's, I think also there was something in that generation where they really wanted to have the power, but they also knew that they were charged to be humble.
Right.
And so they had that balance.
Yeah. And I feel over the breadth of time, you can easily pick that out. And that's why I'm just pointing out, I'm not sure that Lauren Cunningham fell into that one. I felt it was sincere. It doesn't mean that it's that it's no more damaging, etc. But also it's the whole, God gave me a message. Like mainline Christians make fun of, the Mormons because they're like, oh yeah, so Joseph Smith suddenly finds something and God talks to him. You're saying the same thing. And now there's this huge belief system of the 7 mountains that you just pulled out of your butt because in Revelation it talks about 7 mountains. What?
It's called an idea. So as a human, you had an idea. And as a human in your story, you were created by God. And so by the transitive property, whatever, I don't know if that's it, God gave you the idea.
Right.
So, and the idea, of course, if you're going, okay, did we talk about what the idea was?
Oh, we're getting there. We're getting there.
Okay.
But I mean, I get it. I had an idea years ago to make reverse sun tattoos where you would have a design and you would put it on yourself while you're out sunbathing and then you had a reverse tattoo. I should have said that was from God and called them God stamps or
but
God
all the women, all these women I knew in Los Angeles would put a Playboy bunny on there. And then they'd get tanned up and have a little white Playboy bunny because class.
Because classy. All right, so I'm going to tell you what the 7 Mountains Mandate is. And if you've heard of dominionism, there you go. If you've heard of Christian nationalism, there you go. Because, Bonnie, the idea of Israel and the U.S. being connected, according to these people, is those are the only 2 countries that God started. Remember, the land of Israel was given to them through Abraham, and the U.S. was discovered by white Jesus. So,
isn't it more like we were born seeking religious freedom? It was like a whole bunch of religious people coming together and
were Christian and a bunch of bullshit that was just pulled out of thin air, like these 7 mountains, because 7 mountains are just like mentioned in Revelation. They could represent 7 real mountains that the people of that day saw. They could represent, the 7 days of the week. We don't know. But according to God. And then Lauren Cunningham, who then somehow got together with Bill Bright and Francis Schaeffer.
Francis.
They say that
Sorry.
there's 7 spheres of influence and that Christianity needs to be the head of all these to help the world become Christ-like. And there's some interesting little parts that people don't mention that you're only going to get on this exclusive episode or 2.
So all of these
I'll come back.
pieces of our lives should be taken over in the name of God or in the name of Jesus.
Correct.
To glorify him.
Here's the trick that people don't mention. It is okay if the people doing it are not Christian,
Right.
don't act Christian. So Moms for Liberty has some, I think some Jewish women, definitely some Mormon women that they don't consider Christian. Doesn't matter. And this is the reason they were behind Donald Trump. It did not matter as long as he was bringing principles that align with Christianity.
So it's like, it's for them, all for the greater good.
Right. So
Okay.
that's why they stuck
their
with
version
Donald.
of good.
Their version. Okay, so here are the 7 areas, spheres. Family. So when we say God being the head of the family, that is why they are now wanting to, like they did with Roe versus Wade, which was part of the family situation, they're going to reverse gay marriage. And, you know, they're against pride parades and they want to educate their own children, blah, blah, blah. Religion. So again, I was listening to some 7 mandate dude, pastor guy, and he was absolutely saying, like, why shouldn't people in churches be able to say anything and it be protected? You know, like God needs to be the head of religion, not government telling us what we can say. And that came into play with the masks and canceling church for COVID. 7 mandate people were the ones who were like, no, God's
in charge of me, not you.
God's in charge of the church, not government. Because 7 mountains. Yeah.
But isn't there also something in the Bible that says, oh, well, the government is in charge of us as well, and we should respect that? Isn't there some... Anyway.
Bonnie.
Okay. I don't know where to find these things. I figured you would.
Oh, I know.
I heard it somewhere in the Bible.
You're right. But it doesn't matter as much.
It doesn't
I
apply
think they
this
interpret that as, okay, now it's our opportunity to put those people there so the people we are following are Christ-like.
Right.
Okay, education. That's our schools. Keep prayer in schools. Media. I got some interesting ones for that. Entertainments. Do not mistake that with Intamin Donuts, which I was thinking about the other day.
Just randomly thinking of them. Donuts.
Yep. Business. And then government. So really, I mean, what's left? I mean.
Yeah, that's everything.
Yeah. It's everything.
Okay. So pretty much, it seems like this comes about when the Christians are in fear of losing power.
Correcto.
So, and somebody's quote I love, it says, "We feel oppressed when we can't oppress everyone else." That to me is like the subtext if this was a book, or the subhead. Like,
right.
The 7 mountains mandate. We feel oppressed when we can't oppress everyone else. So,
yeah.
I mean, nobody's saying you can't be as religious as you want. Nobody's keeping all of these Christians from worshiping God, from tithing. Tithe your ass off. No one's stopping them. So it's back to that claim that, not claim, it's back to that concept that I never understand of the clawing, the scraping for power.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's all dominance. It's usually always done by men. And dare we say that it is in their primal, evolutionary DNA to protect their, quote, family, quote, tribe. And they have just translated it into the current religion of the day. And it was translated into different religions according to where they were fucking born. The one good thing, or another, that I have to say about Lauren Cunningham, when he started Youth with a Mission, he wanted to have it located, what he felt was centrally, and it's Kona, Hawaii. And I will tell you, I did not regret going to Kona, Hawaii. So another cult tip. Another cult tip right there.
Not for Jesus reasons. Who wouldn't like to go see Hawaii?
See, and that's the thing. If we start Deconversion Therapy Podcast headquarters.
Right, in Hawaii.
So listeners, Bonnie and I were like dreaming and laughing about that. We're like, we could put it in a third location that we'd like to travel to.
Right.
We have differing things. I want tropical and beach.
Yeah, I just want to be able to wear a nice jacket and have pockets and not have to carry a purse. So,
well, in that
New
show,
England.
Northern California, they wear sweaters on the beach. I've seen it on TV.
Yeah, I've seen it on TV. I've seen Pamela Anderson in a sweater and Uggs and a bikini. Okay, so
help folks.
Okay, all right. So, what other ways are Christians coming up with to tell everybody that they need to do things to keep us in power?
All right, so
go.
There was a release in 2013 that really put this whole idea on the map, and it was written by Lance Walnell and Bill Johnson. Yes, Bill Johnson of Bethel. Is he at Bethel? Yes, called Invading Babylon, the Seven Mountain Mandate. And the people that were behind that supported Donald Trump because Paula White, who we've talked about before, is very influential as his as his spiritual advisor. Right. And she even said that, quote, Trump will play a critical role in Armageddon as the United States stands alongside, Israel in a battle against Islam. So this is what we're seeing right now. That's why they're all giddy. That's why they're like, yes, 7 mountains and poop and all that shitty stuff. But, so it says in Revelation 17, 1, whatever, it says, and here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains. So they've been like, you know what? That means the 7 heads of society. And what we need to do is make sure the Lord's house is established, because it says that in Isaiah on the top of the mountain. Did Isaiah say the 7 mountains? It did not, but it doesn't matter. We're going to just smush them all to fucking gather.
We're going to cram all these ideas into the mold that we have come up with when we had our idea.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I listened to Lauren Cunningham of YWAM talking on a podcast that was boring as hell. He rambled. He's dawdling. I think he died a year and a half later. But it's the usual sort of stuff. And she's like, tell us about the 7 mandates. And some interesting things he said is, that's what we do as a missionary organization. We go out and we try to go to all these countries. And even if we don't influence them to follow Jesus, our impact on their ethics, they see it, and a lot of them want to follow it. So he said, we can even change things in Buddhist nations that remain Buddhist, but as long as they're following Christian ethical ideas, then that falls under this, building the kingdom of God bullshit.
Okay.
Again. And it's also big. They're big against remember when everyone was yelling about the one world and the globalization, how dangerous it is? Lauren Cunningham and these people say the one country that can prevent all of this is the United States. So when the European countries all joined together for the EU, that was satanic. And
That's right.
right. So here we go, Christian nationalism. My favorite that I think you're going to love, that he actually said out loud, and this is why I don't think he's mean. I think he's a bit dumb. He said that the devil did something and God used it for good. And you know what that was? It was COVID. Because COVID had people staying at home, getting to know their families better. And
Okay. Wrong.
it's part of the Seven Mountains mandate. It is part of God's using everything for good consequences. Isn't that nice?
Okay, but didn't COVID also help the numbers of church attendance go down?
Correct. And did domestic violence go up? Yes. Did divorce go up? Yes. Did people dying by the millions? Yes.
But yeah, but they've got an answer for that.
Right. So that's super fine. He thinks that, and it's just all bullshit. And I'm telling you, these people are dangerous. So let me give you an example of what I've seen recently. I'm going to go down to the media. So we're talking newspapers and TV shows and all that. So that's why Fox is so big, because it doesn't matter how shitty and wrong they are, as long as they're purporting basic traditional values, they're part of the scheme, they're part of that. And when they started moving up as being, one of the top news stations, everyone's like, won't he do it? God's there in the middle of it. And that's what we're seeing, just all these, a lot of different Christian-based YouTube media things, and just tons. But one that we don't talk about a lot is the Babylon Bee. Because remember when people thought that it was just another The Onion joke, meme, funny thing that was popping up on Twitter and everything?
So the Babylon Bee is this website, and they, similar to The Onion, write stories that are so similarly written to legitimate stories in news outlets that people sometimes think they're real.
Right.
And I think the guy who founded it wanted there to be humor in the religious world, and so they parody even their own type, but they don't go that far. Like something I read said they'll go farther in their parody of somebody who's left wing than somebody who's a right wing representative.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's been some very obvious ones that you're like, wait a second, this is very misogynistic, or this is very, you could just start to tell, but at the beginning, no one could.
Oh, in fact, I think there was one story that Trump quoted, not realizing that it was a parody account.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
He wasn't reading the FBI briefings in the morning, so whatever. But it's a satire news website, and it does, the satirical things. It has been referred to, according to Wikipedia, as a Christian or conservative version of The Onion. Right. And it was founded by some dude called Adam Ford. Where's the headquarters, do you ask, Bonnie?
Is it Tennessee?
No.
Is it?
No.
Oh.
What's your second guess?
It's Florida.
It's Jupiter,
You're
Florida.
right. I did read that. It's close to me in Florida, too.
It is. So we will be expecting something for you to release. Yeah. That's good. So, like, they made a headline, and this is when they joke on themselves. It says, Joel Osteen sails luxury yacht through flooded Houston to pass out copies of his book, Your Best Life Now. And the article
Right.
went so viral that Snopes had to be like, this is not true.
Right.
So, it's one of those things where, to me, The Onion understands just a little more how to make things satirical enough, I guess. But
it's also the same thing that I said before, accidentally reappearing in our conversation. There's not a lot of room for people who are sarcastic. There's just a lot of earnest people going, oh, well, this must be valid.
Yeah, exactly. And there's lots of people, like Rolling Stone covered them and was like, initially they started out as something of an equal opportunity offender, but they definitely have, leading up to 2020, the site grew less critical of Trump and more critical of the left and liberalism. And that's when people really started noticing things, because if you are a satirical site and you're given the gift of Donald Trump and you don't use it, something is up, obviously. But
the greater good. I don't know if you remember it, but there was the movie called Hot Fuzz, and that was where the people who had been brainwashed into doing things that were for the greater good of the community, and whether that be killing people or not, they would just recite the mantra, the greater good.
No.
Yeah.
I haven't watched that. I thought it was about cops. What's the greater good?
It was.
I don't know.
Oh, it's amazing. It's a great movie.
Oh, gosh,
anyway,
I gotta watch things.
the greater good.
See, I'm jealous of you because you have those things stuck in your head, and I have, the letter that the elders of Mike Bickle's organization put out. Like, my stuff is like, bleh. So depressing. Here's another way to wind up what it means: that God will put specific people in place to initiate God's desire for the world. So that's why Mike Johnson, they're like, score. It doesn't matter whether they're Christian or not, but you got that extra Christian stuff, and ba-boom, ba-boom. And yeah.
Well, and that reminds me of the businesses. Should we talk about businesses yet?
Sure, let's do that. Let me just add in a quote that I came across that it said, if you're a new, think Trump, or non-Christian, it validates 7 mountains. If you are not a Christian or a good one, and you're implementing, basic Christian, quote, values, then that proves 7 mountains is the way God wants things to do, because he's putting those things in place. It's also called key leader theory and all that, So one of those is Mike Bannon. And to some extent,
Steve
Alex
Bannon.
Jones. Oh, yeah. Who's
Sorry.
Mike Bannon? Was he in a band?
I don't know. They're all named Mike.
I know. And Joe Rogan and someone else that we used to be a big fan of with long hair and equal amounts on his chest. Russell Brand.
Somebody pointed out that Russell Brand has made this big effort to get all of these people on the right wing behind him, because he knew eventually he would be facing sexual harassment charges, and he was just building up his army of defenders. I think that's really interesting and not completely, unfathomable.
And he knows that those people, when you give them a conspiracy theory, they'll run with it. So when he said, this is about me speaking out about vaccines or whatever the fuck he did. Yeah.
And being persecuted. And all the comments that I read are like, Russell, you've got this. Don't worry.
Oh, gosh.
I know.
It's so, and that, that's what I was saying, that we see that with men so much more than we do women. Think of all the women who just got mutilated in the press.
Yeah, but we don't crave power the way they do.
Right. True.
I think having your penis on the outside of your body is just a real hard thing for us to wrap our heads around.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying. Which one did you say you wanted to go into next?
So you had mentioned it doesn't matter if they really believe in it. Mm-hmm. If our head of government says he's doing something for the Christian good, then great, we're going to support him, which seems so much like some people who have claimed that they are Christian business owners or Christian leaders. So I was on Reddit, doing a little bit of snooping around for this, and people on Reddit, there was one topic where it said, or somebody said, if you're going to use manipulation like this, then I'm going to be wise to it, and I'm going to find some other business to patronize. And then there were people, somebody said, I'm from Texas, and almost all the businesses here are Christian-owned businesses. And somebody else, I thought this was interesting, said that is the new racist dog whistle, to call yourself a Christian owned business, because it means, oh, I might not make a cake for your gay wedding.
Yep.
I might just like everybody to be exactly like me. And those are the people who I'm going to serve in my business.
Yeah. We have, in our area, we have like this craft store that, sells a bunch of yarn and everything like that. And
that's it.
During the Women's March,
yarn for Jesus.
That's it. During the Women's March, they took all the pink yarn off the shelves, and they were like, "No one can make the pussy hats." Remember the little?
Aww.
Yeah. So, and then they put all their Trump, BS stuff out there. But it definitely, then the Christians support them more, because they're like, I don't knit, but I'm going to support her because doesn't act godly, but it doesn't matter,
That's really hilarious. They took the pink off.
Yeah. Because she was like, no, you're not going to use my yarn to ask for equal pay. Anyway, So there's tons of that. So I don't know if I told you, one time I was at Starbucks in the old town I used to live in, which was Murfreesboro, Tennessee, which was the one that outlawed gay people recently. And then they ended up dropping that. But I've still got my eye on it. Anyway, I was there at a Starbucks, and there were about 6 men sitting around, but it wasn't a Bible study. And one of them recognized me just through work, or I knew his wife or something like that. So I'm like, hi.
It was not a Bible study?
It was not. But I found out
what the hell were they organizing for?
I'll tell you what they were organizing for. This is when the men's groups at churches, when we're talking about economy and businesses, this is when they get together and they network, but in this way. One was an insurance guy, say one's a carpet guy, say one's a, home titles. Mm-hmm. They passed around their clients and said, I have someone who's looking for this, or I have someone who's looking for this. So they get to build up everything they're doing by just handing around the clients and their personal information, because they know that if they're Christian-owned, people are going to go with them and all that. And it doesn't matter how ethical they are or anything.
Right.
It's just all about building the fucking kingdom of God with businesses.
Well, to me, if you have a good product, you're going to win. I mean, there's
That would be nice. I agree.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry. Chick-fil-A makes an outstanding chicken sandwich.
I know.
It's just a fact. So
Yep.
they win. They win on customer service and they win on their product. So,
and people are like,
fun.
oh, I can't believe you guys said that. And we just have to be like, no, we're all in the real world. You know, it can be a bigoted corporate breakdown of it, but we can say the chicken's good. And that is exactly what they're doing. So Forever 21 owner is Christian and they have verses. We've done a whole episode about all the Christian companies people didn't know were Christian. Did they come out with the most innovative, affordable looks? Yeah. These people know what they're doing.
Well, Hobby Lobby, I'm sorry. That is a fun as hell store to go to.
I admit I don't, but I agree. Like, it just has...
I think someone you're related to goes there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I know a lot of people that go to Hooby Looby. That's what I call it. It's hilarious.
Oh, you know what else I had done in my little bit of research for this? In-N-Out Burger is this amazing restaurant. They've got great, fresh, quality beef. They cut their fries fresh. They're out in California, maybe Arizona, and they trickle a little bit east from the West Coast. But recently, the person who inherited In-N-Out Burger became a Christian, and they've started putting Bible verses on some of their cups and French fry holders. So they didn't start the business like that, but they're sure going to use their mouthpiece to, spread it around.
Well, that's... Cookout does the same thing. And
what out?
Cookout?
What's that?
Yeah. It's like an In-N-Out burger.
What is Cookout?
It's just a burger and shake place. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Well, In-N-Out is planning for Tennessee location because supposedly they were talking about moving their headquarters to Tennessee because Tennessee is fucking right wing. And here come the Christian organizations and like Daily Wire. Ben Shapiro is Jewish, wears a yarmulke all the time. Christians don't care. 1, because they think they're Jewish. 2, because he purports all those same fucking traditional things. No matter how hateful he is, they're going to support him.
Oh.
And it's all because they think, yay, God gets to now change the world through taking over these things. I was thinking briefly of if you've ever seen the right get behind a gay person, usually a gay man, who's just a contrarian, like, I'm sorry, I'm gay, but I'm going to be, I'm conservative.
Like George Santos?
Let's say George, yeah. That's one, but there are a lot of others. Oh, even Caitlyn Jenner.
Oh, right, yeah.
They do not care that in their eyes that
the
person's
greater
a sinner.
good.
It's this, right. It validates that Seven Mountains is the correct thing that God is trying to instill.
Okay. So remember Mike Lindell, the guy who makes the My Pillow and he talks like this and he's got the mustache?
I know. Yeah.
So when he does his little videos, he's got the big picture of Jesus and the side profile of a lion. So remember when the FBI arrested him? He was at a Carl's Jr. drive-through, and they took his phone, and he's like, "You can't take my phone. My hearing aids are connected to my phone, and I won't be able to hear anything." So I discovered that Hardee's and Carl's Jr. are like the West Coast, East Coast, same version of each other, and Hardee's is owned by some like Catholic owner. So that explains why he was at Carl's Jr.
Because it's true. They all know exactly where they're going to go and where they're not, because the other places have devil burgers. I just always Hardee's.
A devil burger.
I can't do it. I can't do it. Poor Mike Pillow.
My pillow.
Another thing, with the whole Trump thing is because Trump was a ding dong but had those quote values because they told them, like Paula White said, hey, do this, do that. And the 7 mandate people are going to support you and all this bullshit. When he didn't win the second election, that's why so many people thought it was stolen, because he was chosen by God. So it had to be stolen. Like their minds couldn't, they weren't like, oh, those sneaky bitches. They were more like, obviously something's wrong because this is what we've been told.
So for me, though, from what I remember from a lot of Sunday school classes and Christian college classes, if I think that something like that has happened and it's been stolen, it's not my responsibility to make that call. I'm supposed to respect what we have in place. Like, to me, it's not humble enough.
No, we're warriors now, though. We're in the warrior era. We have taken up our swords and put on the breastplate of righteousness. And I know. It's all bullshit. And God has changed his personality so much in the last 20 years.
Well, I think that's because bipolar. I think they've changed his personality because numbers are dropping.
Obviously.
And
I was being satirical,
out there.
Like Babylon.
Yeah, I know.
Babylon B, and you didn't get it because I
did.
The other thing,
but I think they're reacting to failure, which
I know.
I like.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Well, you know what? If they want to react to failure, how do they react to the failure of Mike Pence to gain any traction in his bid to become president?
They absolutely freaked about that, and I am going to bring him up in part 2 of the 7 Mountains Mandate. So please come back here and let us destroy your hope in civilization with this amazing recounting of everything that's wrong in the world, or on top of seven mountains. And we love you and thank you for following us. And we'll be back next week. Bye.
That's true. Bye.